moving swiftly on now to the second speaker today, um, my very good friend, colleague, flatmate, um, best mate, and my husband, Alan Brown. He started Brown and Tiny Office Supplies back in 1988, and he's dabbled with business before then, and he's tried out different things in the meantime. But this is something slightly different. So I'm going to hand straight over to you now, Alan Brown, for your connect to me slot.
Thank you very much, Jill. That's a very nice introduction, shall we say. Um, so thank you for that. I'm just sharing my screen. Can everyone see that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a lot to say today, so I'm going to try and whiz through it as quickly as possible. So please bear with me. It's going to be super fast, but there's a lot of information and a lot of detail in there about me and what's going on with me. So what I'm going to talk about today is my background of how I got to where I am today. I'm going to talk about a shift that happened in my life between 10 and 15 years ago. And I'm going to talk about my passion, which is to bring happiness to people. I want people to be happy and not in this cycle of worry, anxiety, and stress. So I'm going to talk about that very briefly as well. Okay, so I was born in the East End of London, 500 yards from the mighty West Ham United Football Club. Just remember that. I was born into a family. My parents were Ron and Sheila, and I had one elder brother who unfortunately died at the age of 50 through alcohol abuse. But that's another story in itself. We weren't poor, we weren't rich, but we were full of love. My household was full of love all the time, especially from my mum. She was the rock to me. Jill and I, the fabulous Jill Tiny, we got married 40 years ago in 1984. And we've got two wonderful children, Danielle and Nicola, and they've blessed us with three gorgeous grandchildren, Lila, Bryony, and Freddie. Um, During COVID, we moved down to West Sussex, one to be near them. And yes, we did tell them we were doing it. It wasn't a surprise to them. And also, I relocated my business as well. So I'm now living the dream in West Sussex. Now, don't we live in a busy world? Don't we live in a world where it's full of emails, it's full of pressures on us, everyone wants our time. So I live by a little mantra, which is taken from the Desiderata by Max Ehrmann, which was written in 1927. Now, I'm doing this from memory, so please bear with me. I just want you to listen to the words of this. Go placidly. Sorry, let me move on. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Okay. My Sorry, I'm just going to have to start the slideshow. I do apologize. Bear with me just 1 second. Okay. So who is Alan Brown? Alan Brown's an optimist and an entrepreneur who loves life. My aim is to inspire others to find true and lasting happiness in their life. What are my hobbies, I hear you say? I'm an avid West Ham United supporter. That's a Premiership football club in the East End of London. My other hobbies. I support West Ham United Football Club in the East End of London. What are my other hobbies? Football. What are my other hobbies? Football. Just a little joke there. Okay, so I love running. I love keeping fit. I often do a 5K run. And 2 years ago, I did the Great South Run in Portsmouth with my daughter. And I actually achieved three objectives there, which was absolutely fantastic. I love travel. I love going to new places and finding out more about people and cultures and local life. And I've just taken up gardening as a hobby, believe it or not. So I'm now out in the garden almost every day, just finding myself being and just setting myself up for the day because I do it quite early in the morning. I started my first business when I was 10 years old. I used to go over to Wanstead Flats, collect some conkers. And if you don't know what conkers are, if you're under 50, then please Google it, because it was a game that we used to play at school. We used to collect the conkers and we used to sell them at school 5 for a penny. But then I had some competition and another lad was selling 6 conkers for a penny. So, being the entrepreneur, I drilled holes in the conkers, put the string through, tied a knot so the conkers were ready to play. And I sold them at a penny each and they flew off the shelf. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please Google the game of conkers. 12 years old, I got a Saturday job in Queens Road Market near the mighty West Ham United football ground. But it was a bit like child exploitation, really, because I did long hours and got paid hardly anything. But it was a good lesson in business because the couple I worked for taught me about buying, selling, just dealing with customers, and it was a great education and it was just a basis for my future. When I was 16, my parents said, get a proper job with a pension. So I got offered 2 jobs at 16, one with local government in the housing department in the London Borough of Newham, and one with the old-fashioned LEB, the electricity board. Both offered me day release. So I thought, well, why stay at school and not get paid when I can go and get a job and be paid to study? So I was educated to ONC level and to degree level during my time at local government. I was promoted very quickly at the age of 18 to a district housing officer looking after 1,000 properties, on full management. And I was the youngest district housing officer in the London Borough of Newham, which was a great achievement. I was then promoted to senior district housing officer, believe it or not, at the age of 20, looking after 7 members of staff, 5 of which were the housing officers and 2 were the admin staff. So I very quickly learned how to talk to people, help people, get them through crisis, etc. But my real business I started in 1988, 36 years ago, which, as Dewey alluded to, was Brown and Tiny, which we now trade as the School People. That business is office supplies. We supply schools nationwide, over 1,000 to date, and we help with their procurement. What makes us really unique is our customer service, because I'm not happy unless the customer's happy. So if I do rarely get a phone call that says this didn't happen right, I will put it right 10 times. I'm just not happy if we don't give fantastic customer service to our schools. We have a number of niche products, and the one that everyone talks about is our academic diaries, because we've got 14 glorious colours, which is quite unusual. Normally in the UK, it's black, navy or burgundy, take your pick. We've got 14 different colours in 4 different styles, and they go down a storm with the schools, and they just fly off the shelf. We also do school leaver hoodies, 27 different colours. It's all about colours, isn't it? Hmm. I think that says more about me than anything else, doesn't it? And I just love it. I love what I do. I've loved it for 38 years, and please God, I'm going to love it for the next 38 years. Okay, so I said about 10 to 15 years ago, I had a bit of a shift in my life, and that was that I decided to do a bit of personal development because I was going through a stage in my life where I was putting my family first, I was putting myself second, and I was known as a worrier. I worried about everything, and I was full of stress all the time. So I decided to do a bit of self-development, and the old saying says, the sign of madness is if you're doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. So I went on a course called More to Life, and it was really, really, really useful for me because it taught me that I am good enough. Put yourself first and then your family second, and get a relationship with life. And I've got a touchstone here, which I had to say that mantra in front of the whole group. And if I get worried or stressed or I get anxious, then I get that touchstone out, and it just takes me back to that time when I was doing my self-development. And one little takeaway from that was if there's a life event that happens to you, work out whether it's true, false, or you don't know. For example, if you're going to the doctors to see them about something and you worry about that consultation, at that point in time, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. You don't know if you're worrying about nothing. So, just stop it. Just if you don't know, then my mum used to say, don't trouble until trouble troubles you. And I think that's a very useful expression. I then went on to do a landmark education course as well, which taught me that we put a lot of meaning on stuff. We make up stories about stuff. And it's just something you need to check and just think about. I'll give you an example. One day, Jill left her keys in the front door. I came home and her keys were literally in the front door. Now, before I did my self-development or landmark education, I would have phoned her up. I would have said, "What are you doing? It's a security risk. It's stupid. You silly person." But after the landmark course, I phoned her up and I said, "Jill, you left your keys in the door." She said, "Oh, sorry about that." I said, "Don't worry, I'll bring them to the office so that you can get in tonight." She said, "Is that it?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Are you sure that's it?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Who is this new Alan Brown? I can't, I can't believe it." So it also taught me what my why was and what my legacy is going to be. And this is me 2 weeks ago reading a bedtime story to two of my grandchildren, Lila and Freddie, with Jill looking on in amazement that they were actually listening to me. Um, but I love everything I do. I just love life. I love my family. I love my work, and I love my me time and my be time. Just absolutely, it's the best time of my life at the moment, and living in the moment. Okay, so after all this self-development, I did write a book. Well, I call it a book, but it's a PDF. So it's not been published. It's just a result of what I've learned over the last 10 or 15 years, putting down into words. Now, I don't know if people know this, but I suffer a little bit from mild dyslexia. So this book was very difficult for me to write. It was very hard, and it took a long time. But I did it. I've got it, and it's out there. It is out there, and loads of people have read it, and they absolutely love it. And it talks about a new paradigm. It talks about a bubble paradigm where your life is a bubble, and if it bursts, you die. So you have to protect that bubble in order to protect your life. And within that bubble, there's three inner bubbles: your work life, your family and friends, your me time or your be time. And if you can get those in sync, then you find that sweet spot in the middle where you find true and lasting happiness. Okay, so in conclusion, I just want to tell you what my mantra is these days. Talk to the people you love and love the people you talk to. Live in the moment, read my book, be happy, and remember you are good enough. I just want to finish with a quick true story. This is a true story, and I just want to read it because I don't want to get this wrong. Jill and I were having dinner in Cyprus in 2017. On the next table was Tony, Bridget, and Catherine. An ordinary family having a meal together, except Catherine was in a wheelchair and seemed to be in a world of her own. After we'd all finished eating, Jill and I moved over to their table and started chatting. Tony and Bridget thanked us for coming over, as most people, when they see a 24-year-old in a wheelchair, tend to avoid eye contact and just ignore them. Anyway, they told us that Catherine was born with cerebral palsy, devastating in itself. But as she was learning to walk as a child, she contracted a virus that left her paralyzed for life. Did this affect Tony and Bridget as people? Not at all. Did it restrict what they could do? Yes, it did. Did they feel sorry for Catherine or themselves? No, they did not. So if you if you don't hit a deadline at the office, don't worry. You didn't make the cricket team, don't worry. If you have the ability to walk, talk, and discuss issues in a free society, we are done. We are sorted. We have no problems that can't be sorted. God bless you, Catherine. So thank you for listening. I'm sorry that was a bit of a whirlwind. And if you would like an insight into my book, members only, I'm afraid, then book onto my masterclass on the 9th of June at 2 p.m. But you need to book on the platform. Namaste. Thank you very much.